What's good, bro? Welcome to the video. If there's just one thing you know about me over our past 6 years together is that I love my coffee and I have to start my day like this. Ever since moving to New York City, I have stepped up my coffee game in a big time way. I make pour-overs in the morning and about once every couple of weeks, I make a big batch of cold brew. I'll talk more about my coffee making processes in a different vlog. But funny enough, this morning I have nothing to eat for my pre-workout meal. Typically I have a little bowl of oatmeal with some cinnamon, sliced almonds. Just so I have a little something in my belly, I'm gonna stop at a cafe to grab some food, which brings me to the next thing you know about me. I'm a food guy. Over the past several years on this channel, I've brought you food and restaurant reviews galore. From Chicago to New York City, all the way over to London and back down to Miami. But in today's vlog, I am officially announcing that I am quitting as a food influencer. This is the chocolate croissant. That chocolate croissant was pretty good, but not exactly what I wanted this morning. I specifically went to that cafe because, in my opinion, they make one of the best plain croissants in all of Brooklyn, but they didn't have any this morning. I guess they were making sandwiches with them or something like that. I had already paid. They're like, do you want something else for the pastry case? And I'm like, okay. The chocolate croissant. And normally on this channel, I would tell you all about the cafe, when they were founded, who founded it, what their specialties are, what you should order if you go. And now I'm just like an ordinary New Yorker. I needed something to eat before the gym, so I popped in, got myself a little pastry to go along with the coffee that's already flowing through my system. When I launched this channel in 2019, I was inspired by Rick Steves and Jeffrey Bear. And I know that might sound funny coming from me, but I really enjoyed their travel videos. They kind of took a holistic approach. They talked about architecture, they talked about history, they threw in some food, things to do, and I'm like, I could do something like that. I'm passionate about this stuff, and I could bring my own unique personality. A young Latino living in Chicago who's educated, who is well-mannered, funny. So that's kind of the inspiration, the genesis, if you will, of my channel. But then of course the pandemic hit, and like everybody else, I had to pivot. So instead of focusing on travel around the country and Europe, I was like, okay, well, I can travel around Chicago, highlighting neighborhoods, history, culture, and of course food. So when I was making videos around Chicago, highlighting attractions, talking about history and culture, I never really thought that food would become the star of the show. All right, so now I got a little bit of food, a little bit of coffee. It's time to head to the gym. Today is shoulders and leg day, but for legs, I'm really gonna be emphasizing hamstrings. And I haven't done this workout as much as I would like over the past few months. So we're gonna head to the gym, get in this workout, and keep talking about it. Yo, another incredible workout in the books. I gotta shout you guys out because thanks to this vlog, I've held myself much more accountable this week. I've hit all 5 days. That's 4 days of lifting and 1 day of cardio. This was my first hamstring and shoulder day in a long time. Got myself a David bar, the chocolate chip cookie dough, as my post-workout snack. That's because we're not headed home. We're actually gonna hop on the subway and get a few errands done around Brooklyn. All right, I rode the subway from Bushwick over to Williamsburg because I have a couple of errands to run in the neighborhood. But for now, I found myself a nice spot on the East River overlooking Manhattan. It's just a beautiful, beautiful day. It's mid-autumn. There's all the birds out singing today. So I want to talk a little bit more about what it was like to be a food influencer in Chicago and New York City. When I noticed that my food videos were having success on the channel, I did what any rational person would do. I doubled down on them. Instead of just doing travel videos with a little bit of food, I decided, you know what? Let me make travel videos and food videos. So around Chicago, we would go to Chinatown. We'd do a travel video and a food tour. We did that for several other neighborhoods. When we traveled over to Milwaukee, Miami, New York City, Las Vegas, we did one travel video and one food video. This even continued in London, where we maximized our time, made several videos. Some were travel focused and some were food focused. And that was a lot of fun. I got to try lots of different restaurants, eat several different foods. I stepped up my game as a food critic. So of course, anybody would love to go around to lots of restaurants on a weekly basis, not only eat the food, but get content out of it. I was doing something that I truly did love. I've always considered myself to be somewhat of a foodie, and I did think that by making travel videos and food videos, I would widen my reach. And by doing videos in Chicago, around the country, and even in places like Europe, I thought that was the best chance for me to grow the biggest potential audience, build a community. People that were like me, that loved to travel, that loved to try different foods. We also got to meet lots of restaurant owners, chefs. We got invited out to places just to review the restaurants. I got to meet the owner of Millie's Pizza in the Pan, the owner of Paulie G's Logan Square. Narissa and I had several dates this way. This was like our way of having date night all the time. As successful as these food tours were, and as much fun as I had making them, I never received money to review a meal. Sure, I got invited out by restaurants and I got to eat for free in exchange for creating some content, but I never actually got paid for my time, my gear, my editing skills, my hosting presence, and that's fine. Part of it was this weird obsession that I had with keeping it real, being authentic. I'm not gonna accept money for reviewing food. I'm gonna just do what I want. I want to eat the foods that I think are good, recommend them to my audience, and something great will happen. I even had an opportunity one year to work with an ad agency to highlight some McDonald's meal for Hispanic Heritage Month. And my thought was like, well, my audience isn't gonna appreciate that. It's not a local restaurant, so I politely declined. And now looking back, that was just such a dumb decision. It was short-sighted. I could have taken that money and rolled it back into the channel, but instead, you know, I had to keep it real, kept it real broke. Over time, there were some other problems that I noticed. I wasn't really harvesting a community. I wouldn't get the greatest comments. I wouldn't get the retention that I wanted. But most of all, I noticed that I was spending so much more money on these videos than I was actually getting in return. It wasn't sustainable, nor did it align with my lifestyle of health and fitness. Something had to give. I am in Williamsburg, and I told you I have a couple of errands to run. First up, I'm gonna take you to Trader Joe's. Yes, for the very first time on this channel, we're doing a grocery run. Let's get these bags. All right, so we're back from the Trader Joe's run. Nothing out of the ordinary, spent about $100. Also, stopped by NYC Pet to get Rowdy this primal raw goat milk. This is perfect for your dog for digestion. If you don't already serve this to them, look into it, trust. All right, so some of the highlights from Trader Joe's. I like to get some easy dinners when possible. Korean style beef short ribs. Stay frozen, pop them in the oven when you're ready. We got the beef sirloin roast, grass-fed, that's always a good one. Another great quick dinner, barbecue chicken teriyaki. In the spice aisle, Trader Joe's sometimes has some really cool combos. I got this crunchy chili onion about 3 weeks ago. Narissa loves this on chicken, so I got another little canister of it. Lots and lots of tuna. This is for like quick lunches, high protein, obviously, super cheap. Speaking of cheap lunches and snacks, peanut butter and jelly, classic combination, you know what I mean? Everybody knows that. For the smoothies, we got the bananas. We got the frozen fruits, like the wild blueberries and the strawberries. Also some frozen veggies, Brussels sprouts, frozen broccoli florets, fire roasted bell peppers and onions. Got for the breakfast, steel cut oats, dry toasted almonds. Also, a dozen eggs and some jasmine white rice. So obviously I gotta put these groceries away before the frozen food starts melting. Then I'm gonna grab a shower, make my afternoon coffee, and set up for my gaming stream. Yo, a lot of you guys have been asking me my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2. I picked up the console about 2 or 3 weeks after launch, got it direct from Nintendo, and have really been enjoying it. When I got it, I transferred all my Switch 1 data over, including games and save files. I picked up the Switch 2 Pro controller which I highly recommend. And the only exclusives that I have so far are Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. Both are phenomenal games. It's a great console. Definitely look into picking it up, especially this holiday season. And once you do, make sure you add me, Luis Gusto, on the Nintendo Switch Online server. That's my handle, so make sure you add me. Now, it's time to get into streaming. I just took Rowdy outside for his evening walk, and wow, is it windy. When I first moved to New York City, it made sense to continue what I was doing well on this channel, food and travel videos. Of course, I did throw some lifestyle vlogs in the mix, but eventually I got right back to travel and food. We went around New York City, visited Staten Island, the Bronx. We went to different neighborhoods in Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan. We traveled across the river to New Jersey. We highlighted Hoboken and Jersey City. All the while we were talking about landmarks and history and architecture, along with the food stuff. Then we traveled up to Boston. We did the same thing. Something started happening though. I'm not quite sure what it was. I gotta explore this in a different vlog, but I started losing my passion for making travel videos. In Chicago, it was all about my passion for my hometown. Every time I discovered a neighborhood and its history, I visited a landmark, I tried an old school restaurant that had been around for decades. It filled me with a sense of wonder. It was amazing to discover Chicago, a city that I looked up to my entire life. But living in New York City, I started to grow in ways I never imagined. I started caring less about history and architecture and exploring neighborhoods just to make content. And I wanted to pursue my other passions: fashion, retro video games, watches, creating brands and YouTube channels in New York City. So I started to leave behind researching on history. I started to set aside caring about what year this landmark was built and which architect designed it. And I decided to really just focus on food. I figured, you know what? New York City has an incredible food scene. I'm still a foodie. I know how to make these videos. Let me start a new series called Eat with Gusto. Oh, by the way, at that time, I had created an entirely new channel, Luis Gusto Platinum, because the response that those New York City videos were getting on this channel was atrocious. The Eat with Gusto series was a lot of fun. We visited trendy restaurants, we visited old school places, and we packed each video with like 3 or 4 different restaurants. But you know what? The same problem started bubbling up. I wasn't really building a community. I didn't get comments and subscribers that were excited about my journey. I think I got people watching because I would cover a brand new restaurant and they wanted to see what all the hype was about. They didn't really care about me. And that's fine, but that's not what I was trying to build on YouTube. The other thing is that the wallet was hurting. The stomach was hurting. In the end, it just didn't seem to make sense. I wasn't really building a brand. I was just burning myself out on restaurant and food content. I still wasn't getting paid by restaurants. Sure, I got emails and DMs. I got some free meals in exchange for footage, but all that gear, all that skill, all that time to edit, the hosting prowess that I possess, none of that was being reimbursed financially. I got to a point where I just realized this is not a career. This is just becoming an expensive hobby. And honestly, I'm just not that passionate about being a restaurant critic. It was fun to play food host for a while, but I'm done, bro. That's just no way else to put it. I'm done. I've met New York City food influencers that hustle. They eat 10, 20, 50 burgers in a week. I can't sustain that. That's completely against my lifestyle. I like fitness. I like eating healthy. I like cooking at home. I love that New York City brought that out of me. It helped me to grow as a YouTuber, as a content creator, as an artist. Doing the travel and food thing for a few years was a lot of fun. I have no regrets. I made a lot of good content. I met a lot of cool people. We made some connections. And yes, even though I complain, we did create a little bit of a community. But in the end, I'm much bigger than food and travel content. I don't want to just be known as the guy that recommends where to eat pizza. Does that mean I'm never going to talk about food or restaurants on this channel again? No, absolutely not. I'm going to take you guys along for the journey as I create a brand, as I build my YouTube channels, as I grow my career here in New York City. Along the way, we are going to eat at restaurants. It's still a passion of mine. I'm still a foodie, but I'm not going to be sitting in front of the restaurant telling you this place opened up in 1970 and they're known for X, Y, Z, and W. Yeah, maybe I'll show a few bites of the food. I'll show a little bit of the ambiance. I'll talk to you guys on a more human level. This way we can connect. we can actually build that community. But it's not gonna be the food influencer vibe. It's not gonna be entire videos where all we do is try slices of pizza. I've grown so much living in New York City, and I'm hype about that, and I know you are too, and I appreciate you watching, bro. Make sure you finesse that like button and subscribe to the page for more content just like this, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.